Over to the man of the hour. I said it's been my privilege and honor for these 8 years to work with him. He's a great colleague. We all know how great a coach he is, but he's even a better person. And it's been a privilege and honor these years. So here we go, Mr. Heintschel.
Not only the man of the hour, but man of 4 decades. You could tell by looking. About 30 years ago, I was outside Bob Evans' restaurant, the old one there across from Southwick. My wife worked for Sun and their financial, which was down over along Southwick Boulevard. And we had a tradition of going to breakfast every Friday morning. Carl Wagner would join us. I don't know if Carl's here or not, but he always joined us. And I was outside with Bill Gladio, who was a great coach great player at Rossford High School, and then a great coach at Rogers. And he retired rather abruptly and with a very short career. And we were talking. He says, you know, you'll know when when it's time. And in 1983, I was close to getting out. I thought, this is enough, and leave it to somebody else. I actually talked to Carl Wagner about that. And then in coaching Don Muhort's team, I just all of a sudden had a real feeling about the relationship that was developed between players and coaches. And it struck me that I wasn't ready. And the thing that brings you back are the kids, some of them here, and guys I would love to see through their careers, but I mean, sometimes it's got to end, right? I mean, 40 years, that's 40 years of Thanksgivings and Christmases with basketball hanging over my head. And, I was there with the kids and all that kind of thing, but I mean, twice we left on Christmas Day for tournaments and that kind of thing. So it's just time. I got grandkids in Seattle, Chicago. Will be coming in November, about the time we're practicing, and Charlotte. So I'm coast to coast with one in between. It's not like I can drive across town to see them, and it's just time for Grandpa to be a grandpa. I'm very appreciative to St. John's for taking a chance on a guy age 29 to run a program, basketball and athletic. I did that for 25 years, and I got out of the athletic department. I don't know how Bob does it. It's a thankless job, but I just got out of that and then just did the coaching. But I thank the administration, Father John Libbins, who is retired, hired me as a relatively unknown guy 5 years earlier to be a JV coach, an English teacher, and actually a football coach. I don't know if you guys know that. All the administration that's come over the years. Bob Renee has been so supportive. We joke that John Brennan is the president of the Heintschel fan club, and Bob is vice president. LaFleur being named was extremely humbling. Bob's been so supportive and has offered me some significant dollars to stick around, but it's just not the right time. So again, I'll miss the players the most. And I went to a wedding this weekend in South Bend. Zach Hilton got married. Really cool, great experience. So I'll miss them. I'll miss you guys. But it's time. Thank you.
Guys, questions? Ed, you said it's time. When did you
come to that realization? Because I know at the beginning of
Yeah.
this past season, I think you were geared towards coming back.
Well, you called me last year to find out what the situation was for this year, and I actually we've done a number of different shootouts over the summer, and when I went into those shootouts last summer, my thought was this is the last one. As the season went on, and I went to the Finleys and the Limas and St. Francis, what have you. I figured that I was going to those gyms for the last time as a head coach. We hosted Finley here. I knew it would be the last, home game, and so in my mind, it was done. I thought it was important to have a bridge year after Houston and Vincent and those guys, because I knew there was a tremendous loss of offensive talent, and it would be a challenging year, and I just didn't want the guys or coach high and dry. So I definitely wanted to see that through. As I said, you can make the argument for continuing forever, because there's always great guys you want to stay with and be with and see them through the years.
Mike's going to take over for you. Is that kind of the perfect scenario for you, a guy that's been here for a long time, and how comfortable do you feel about Mike taking over?
In 2 or 3 years, ask me two. I have had, Carl Wagner was a JV coach and acted as assistant coach, but he had a lot of responsibilities with his own team. So the first true assistant, separately paid and all that kind of thing, was Eddie Mauk, and then Shane, and now Mike. And I always let all those guys do a lot of the coaching, because I thought, I don't have the ego that I have to control and be like, front and center, and everybody's. So I was more than willing to have those guys contribute in significant ways. So last 3 years or so, whatever it's been for Mike, he's done a lot, and he has my endorsement, certainly. I think he'll do a great job. I think, like any coach, there's some things you learn on the job that can't be learned any other way. But he'll do a good job with that, and I'll be willing to help him any way I can, obviously, and the deep background. By the way, we've been talking about this thing for about 5 weeks, and the fact that you haven't tweeted it out before says we've done a damn good job of keeping it quiet.
How much has the game changed from 40 years ago, and how much have the kids changed from 40 years ago to today?
The game has changed. In the old days, we talked about soccer and basketball being, non-contact sports, and football and hockey being contact sports, that kind of thing. And basketball has become a contact sport, as has soccer, and hockey and football are collision sports. So I'd say the physicality of the game is amazing. I'll tell you, when Lima Senior had Reuben Flowers and Stafford and those guys, and Miles Copeland, who's a heck of a player, just got beat up. No calls. So, and it's not just that one game, and I'm not trying to single, but it was an amazingly physical game. But that's been across the board, and they let guys jostle and bang each other and all that kind of thing. And then the three-point line, it has dramatically changed the game. So those two things. As far as kids, I think the last few years, I'm going to sound like an old man here. I think social media is the bane of society, and I think these guys have to live with that. Everybody's stuff is out in the public, and you got to protect yourself and your name and all. I feel bad for them, because in the old days we just didn't have to deal with that. But I think it's affected things. I think the kids are more demanding of time, playing time, and that kind of thing. You see more player movement. It started in the NBA, it went to college, and now it's in high school. So I would say that's different. As far as quality of kid, we've had great kids. I mean, we've had fabulous young men, and these guys are carrying that tradition on, and will continue. I'm very blessed for that.
off into the sunset here, or when that St. Francis St. John's game comes, are you going to be there, or what?
Nah, I'll be around. I won't. I'll try not to be visible, but my plan really in December and early January is to get out. We had 20-some kids play college basketball this year, and I got to see a few of them. But I'd like to just get those college schedules, go out and see those guys play across the state, and Houston at Eastern Kentucky and Vince out east there. And so spend some time with that, have more time with my kids and grandkids. But I'll be interested, obviously, in what's going on here. And I told those kids that a few minutes ago to see how they develop and how they play. But no, I won't go. I'm not going to move to anything crazy. I got a nice place up north, and I'll spend some time there. And I can't move. My kids being spread out the way they are, I can't move one spot because it'd be far away from others, and I don't want any of the kids to get jealous.
Can you envision a scenario where you come back as a junior high coach or as an assistant coach, just to kind of get?
You know what? I'll tell you. I live up in the Irish Hills. I live up by Devil's Lake, and initially, I'd say 10 years ago or so, I entertained the thought. It's kind of ironic, actually, of going to a school like Onstead, someplace like that, and coaching freshmen or something like that, which Jerry Sigler, I don't know if you guys know, but Jerry's up helping the Onstead boys basketball team. But I coached my nth degree here. That's kind of where I want to leave it. I see absolutely no way unless my granddaughter Riley Rose wants me to coach. But that would require a move to Charlotte, which I'm not likely to do.
So Michigan hasn't contacted you about their
That is correct.
And on the court over the years, what stands out? Teams, great games, achievements.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I'm writing my memoir. I'm going to charge about $50 a book. So when that comes out, Steve, you can read now. Well, I'm doing that, but that's another matter. I don't know if I could ever point out one. The first win was memorable because we were 0-8. I thought we'd never win. Talked to Nick earlier about he's doing something on the Macumber championship, and Jimmy's senior year here, or junior year here, we had about 2,500 people in the gym built for 18, and that game. But I have a list of players that we played against. We played against Battier, and we beat them in overtime. We played against Toby Bailey down at the Beach Ball Classic, his senior year at Loyola, out in California, and then the next year, his freshman year, he led UCLA to the national championship. Those things stand out. We played against Shaquille's son. He's about as tall as his dad and probably about 300 pounds lighter, and has a silky touch where Shaq would break the backboard on free throws. But I got there are so many things, so many great memories of opponents and games. I remember a lot of them, but not every single one, but too many to mention.
What's been your family's reaction as you told them over the last few weeks as to what you're thinking?
We talked about it. We've talked about a good part of the season because, as I said, as I came into the season, my mind was pretty clear that I would not be back for another year. And they're supportive. They're good. When they were kids, I can't tell you how many people, and I appreciate this, how many people. I go to Anderson's years ago when the kids were real little, and somebody start talking, hey, how's the team going to be coached? And I would take time, because I think you owe it to people to talk to them. They're interested in things, so I would take the time and talk to the kids and just go crazy. My children, just go, come on. But no, they're supportive. They've been great. They came back for the court dedication. They came back for what was hoping to be 700. That was a tough weekend with St. Francis and St. Ed's, but we pulled through. So now they're very supportive.
To be negative, but regrets. What regrets do you have from your career?
Oh, I suppose there's I hang on to time. That's a big art. But only one personnel decision. You want to hear it, Steve? Okay. We'll go back to a 98-99 season, and we had a plethora of scorers. And as a kid, and I've told his dad this because he's a classmate of mine from St. Francis, B.J. Schlageter. If I had to do it all over again, B.J. was a grinder, a football, baseball guy first, but a tough kid. And I should have put him in a lineup and let him defend. I think it would have helped the overall toughness of the team. Great team, great guys, did a great job. That is the only personnel decision ever. I've told the guys, I have not made one decision ever about who makes the team and about who plays, nor their role in the team. That all comes from them. They determine it. I just fill in the blank. It's really an easy job.
What's your advice for Mike as he takes over?
No matter what happens, just look in the mirror in the morning and say, I did it the right way, I did the right thing. Because, and I when I was AD, we had all kinds of situations. Bob's had them too, I'm sure. Every AD. And coaches get criticized. And I used to tell the coaches, I said, look, if you don't think 70% of the fans think you don't know what you're doing, you're missing the point. They're just critical. But you do the right thing. You do what you know is right for the team, for the kids, and it'll take care of itself. So that'd be my number one point. And then you live with it, But it's not easy. It's not easy. I remember Joe Guerra one year. Joe had a great year. I think it was at Bowser, and he said, "Man, how do you do this every year?" Because the record is, and it's not me. It's these guys, the players we've had. How do you do this every year? And I told him, I said, I never think about it ever. I've never sat down and said, the trips to Columbus and all that kind of thing. Never. Now that I'm retired, I probably have some time to do it. But I always try to stay hungry. Always try to, be there and be getting ready for the next year and not, I always felt I was pretty good at the big picture, and I know what this should look like. And then our goal was making sure that all fit together. And then once that was done, these guys didn't have a whole lot to say about it because it's the way it was going to be done. And you can't be afraid to be demanding, very demanding. As long as you're consistent and fair, kids live with it.
In terms of expectations, the 04 championship game loss, is that one that hurts the most of all?
94 was really bad. 94, I don't know. I don't think we were good enough to win the state, but we were pretty good. And we went over to Canton Auditorium, whatever, just up. Anyway, and played Massillon Jackson. And we had a bad shooting night, lost at a half-court baseline drive on a reverse layup. So let's see. You're going by the guy guarding you. You're going by the guy supposed to be helping outside the lane, and anybody cleaning up behind. A layup killed me. That was the toughest one. 04, we'd beaten Brookhaven in the semifinal, or we lost to Brookhaven in the semifinals the year before. They had Lavender and who was the other big kid? Faust? They both went to Oklahoma?
Yeah, and then Lavender was good.
Yeah. So they were great players. And Brian actually outplayed Lavender. He was possessed. So we go down, and somehow the state had us playing the same team again. Not sure how that happened. They came from a different district, whatever. Didn't make any difference. If they invite you to play in Columbus, you go. You don't care who you play. We beat them at that time. Brookhaven, it was a brawl. It was 51-48. It was brutal. And I knew the guys thought they won. Mike was on the team. And I begged them. Man, everybody here is really good or playing really well. One or the other. Doesn't make any difference. And it was Hamilton who? And it became Hamilton state champs. And, we put a flurry on at the end, and had we played like that, we were 15 points better probably. But they got a lead, they controlled tempo, and that was a tough one. If you ask me what game, what championship we should have won, that would be it. Although in 02, if Fields doesn't get mono, I think we have a chance. And in 13, if Gardner doesn't sprain his ankle, I think we have a chance. So, but, hey, they're all kind of teams. The number of teams who get beat in the tournament who are good is, legendary. Good. Thanks to the media. I mean, I know that, especially Toledo Blade, my mom used to get so mad at the Blade because they put these horrible pictures of me with my veins sticking out. She said, why don't they like you? And I said, they like me. They just like to think. I'm sure you guys had a bunch of pictures, but you had to put that one. And my mother was very upset. And Dan's not here. I love Dan Cummins, man. He's great. But my mom would say, why? There were two more things. Why doesn't Dan Cummins like you? I said, Mom, he does. He's a good guy, man. He probably said something disparaging remark one time about St. John's basketball. She never forgot it. She also asked me if I ever cussed at the kids. I said, ooh, not one time. Right, guys? I want to thank the media for the coverage, though. You guys have been very fair and kind to us. We were called my first year when we were so bad. What were we called? Oh, God, the guy used a terribly descriptive name, but was accurate. But, I've always felt we had fair coverage, and it's been great to be a part of basketball legacy here in Toledo for 40 years. So, fun most of the time. Thank you.
This time, obviously, we want to keep stability in the program and everything, and I'm going to introduce Mike. He has a few words. We have a few words. We're very confident in the young man here. He had a great tutor over the years and coach here, and he'll be taking over as the head coach for the 2019-2020 season.
It might be tougher following his press conference than coaching. That was
There you go.
already.
There you go. That's all right. It's Jordan. Don't worry.
Yeah, good. I'll leave it down. Obviously, extremely excited and honored and humbled to coach at St. John's. Something that I take extremely seriously, and very thankful for Mr. Renee, Mr. Savona, for their support in me, and then obviously for Coach and everything that he's done for me, for St. John's, and the St. John's community. And today is not about me, obviously. It's about him. So just really excited to get started. Told the guys today we're going to meet tomorrow and get things going. So thank you very much.
Like the adage is, you don't want to replace the legend, you want to be the guy after that, but kind of explain, I want to guess that this was kind of in the works in the last few years. But how big of a privilege is it to follow in the footsteps of that?
I mean, it's really exciting. You know, you can't, you know, just appreciate everything you learn from obviously someone who's been so successful, like he said, for such a long period of time is unprecedented. You know, you just try to take little things, and then you also want to put your own stamp on what you do. So, you know, our goal is just to get better every day, and you know, we're planning the summer, and we're excited for what we can do, not only the next couple of weeks as the summer comes up, but the summer of June, and slowly work our way through that. But once again, just couldn't be more thankful for Coach and for everything. He coached me in 5th grade. His son Teddy is in my wedding this summer, so just a long relationship. Very appreciative.
Why do you think you're ready for this at this point in your life?
I mean, it's something I've always wanted. I want to be a head coach. I didn't think, probably in a similar way to Coach, I didn't think I would be back at St. John's. I was back at St. John's. I was 22 years old, and a position opened up, and I called Coach and said, do you need someone to help you out with something? So I was a volunteer assistant for the JV my first year for Ryan Brown, who's at Whitmer now. I was able to be the freshman coach and be a head coach here, and then was lucky enough to be with Coach for the past 4 or 5 years up at the varsity. And obviously that's just an experience that, you know, not many can have to work under him. So I feel like I'm ready, and, you know, being a St. John's grad, St. John's is an important place to me.
This past season, were you looking for little learning lessons? Were you looking at what you were going to do, what you were observing that could pay off down the road now?
It was a humbling season because, you know, during even my time when I started as an assistant at the lower levels and was helping out with the varsity a bit, we'd seen such high levels of success that it was definitely a learning experience as a coach in general. And we have a lot of work to do for this upcoming year. You know, expectations. You know, you don't have, like Coach said, you don't have the Vince Williams where expectations are extremely high. So I think last year was extremely valuable for me moving forward in the future, and hopefully we can make some positive strides. And like I said, you know, keep it simple and get better one day at a time. Get better this June, and hopefully have a great year. Thank you.